Yes, welcome, comrades, to our study class, actually a study group. And as usual, we do study this book that's more than a book, but it's a philosophy and ideology for decolonization of Africa every Thursday. And we encourage members to share their thinking in that process so that we can learn together. So welcome to all members of Janus, and thank you very much. It's a continuation of the discussion we had last time. And I'll ask Brother Kwame, who is our chair, to formally invite you all and maybe say any of the words you may say as a startup. And then you go straight to read our paragraphs as we do. After reading the paragraphs, we ask questions, whether you have any term to be defined. You ask the term, we define it, and then we go around to start sharing our thinking. Brother Kwame, please welcome.
Yeah, Brother Pigeon, thank you for welcoming us. Yes, please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all of you, Brother Benny, Chosa. We have Sir Windhoek. We have, let me check. I'm seeing Brother Benny, Sister Tapua. So welcome all of you. And yes, let's start this. Who is in a position to read for us? Anybody who is in a position to read for us the letter paragraph so that we can share our thinking?
If nobody else wants to read, let me read it. So, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I'm in the train, so the timeline might interfere with my reading. But anyway, here I go. But colonialism came and changed all this. First, there were the necessities of the colonial administration, to which I referred in the introduction. For its success, the colonial administration needed a cadre of Africans who, by being introduced to a minimum of European education, became infected with European ideals, which they tacitly accepted as being valid for African societies. Because these African instruments of the colonial administration were seen by all to be closely associated with the new sources of power, they acquired a certain prestige and rank to which they were not entitled by the demands of the harmonious development of their own society. But Abidjan, let's read the next paragraph, because I think we read this one at length last time. Let's go to the
that's
next
what
paragraph.
I was suspecting. That's what I was suspecting. That's why I marked the next paragraph for discussion.
Let's go to the next paragraph. In addition to them, groups of merchants and traders, lawyers, doctors, politicians, and trade unionists emerged who, armed with skills and levels of affluence which were gratifying to the colonial administration, initiated something parallel to the European middle class. There were also feudal-minded elements who became imbued with European ideals, either through direct European education or through hobnobbing with the local colonial administration. They gave the impression that they could be relied upon implicitly as repositories of all those state and conservative values indispensable to any exploiter administration. They, as it were, paid the registration fee for membership of a class which was now associated with social power and authority. Such education as we were all given put before us right from our infancy ideals of the metropolitan countries, ideals which could seldom be seen as representing the ski, the harmony, and progress of African society. The scale and type of economic activity, the idea of the accountability of the individual conscience introduced by the Christian religion, countless other silent influences. These have all made an indelible impression upon African society. Full stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame, for the reading. So for just clarity, it means we are discussing the two paragraphs. Is that okay, Brother Kwame?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, comrades, welcome once again. As you've heard, we are discussing the paragraphs from where we start with the word in addition to them, and then up to the next paragraph of such education. But let's take it in turn. So let's first of all discuss this first paragraph of in addition to them. I know I wasn't present, but what is being asked here in addition to them is in addition to what the previous paragraph was, which was that but colonialism came and changed all this. And from there, what is being described as colonialism changed is actually what also is in the previous paragraph, that in the traditional African society, no sectional interest could be regarded as supreme, nor did legislative and executive power aid the interests of any particular group. The welfare of the people was supreme. So then the next paragraph starts by saying, but colonialism came and changed all this. So probably this paragraph refers to that structure in the previous paragraph. Now, the paragraph where we are going to do the discussion, Brother Kwame started on, is the paragraph saying that in addition to them, and I think it should be very clear to know what we are adding to. Because if you read the previous paragraph in the last reading, we says that, but colonialism came and changed all this. And first of what was changed, that there were the necessities of colonial administration, to which I referred in the introduction. And when you look at the introduction, is where Nkrumah talk about issues of education and the impact and how people access education. Then he says that for its success, the colonial administration needed a cadre of Africans. Now you see. Now this is where we go back to the introduction part, where the education was being introduced in the initial startup of this book. So it says that for its success, the colonial administration needed a cadre of Africans who by being introduced to a certain minimum of European education became infected with European ideas, with a tactically accepted as being valid for African society. Now, because these African instruments of colonial administration were seen by all to be closely associated with the new sources of power, they acquired a certain prestige and ranks to which they were not entitled by the demands of the harmonious development of their own society. Now then, the paragraph we are going to discuss is now, in addition to them, groups of merchants are now coming in. So I think this explanation a bit help us to link those continuation. And with that, I request anybody, or I'll go through the list as we do, to share their thinking in regards to that first paragraph now that starts with the word in addition to them. Anything you can get there? Anything you can share with us, you're thinking? Let me go look at my list. Who is ready to go first, or you can just go with the list? Brother Benny, you are first in my list. Please come in.
Let others come. I will come later, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's go to my next in my list is Brother Eric. Brother Eric Ogwan. Brother Eric, are you able to share your thinking in that paragraph?
No, please, I'm still in a very noisy place. I think I'll come in later.
Okay. Then let's get to Sister Tapua. Are you able to share something in it? Of course, as an educationist a bit, I believe you will be able to share something where the education is coming in and how it is influencing the society a bit. Sister Tapua, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, please.
Hello, everyone. My take on this, I've got Chinua Achebe echoing in my mind, where that famous quotation of the white man is clever. And he goes on to talk about how he's taken some of our brothers to be with them and therefore give away our secrets and our powers. And Chinua was asking, how then are we going to fight if our brothers have taken sides? So what is illustrated here for me is how the colonialists were dividing us and making sure that some of us stood in for them. Because if you look at the numbers of the settlers who came in, they were far less. And they would not have been as effective if they had not recruited some of the people that were educated. For me, it's particularly interesting because Nkrumah presents the co-administrators, the Africans who were co-administrators, as being closest to the colonialists. And when he then goes on to say, in addition, you have the professionals. So it looks like there's a gap between how the professionals are perceived and how the co-colonial administrators are perceived. Because he says they gave the impression that they could be relied upon implicitly as repositories of all those staid and conservative virtues indispensable to any exploiter administration. So what we have is Africans being apprenticed to working not for the welfare of everybody, but they're now working for the welfare of themselves and the settlers. And that's where the split comes in. And I think that's where the contrast is with the first paragraph that we read, which talked about the traditional African setting. I've also been impressed on my mind by the last sentence on the second paragraph. Can we scroll down, please? No, I think it's the last sentence of the paragraph that I was reading, of the previous one, which starts they, implying these professionals, as it were paid the registration fee for membership. I mean, that choice of words. In other words, to qualify to be a co-administrator, to qualify to be in this middle class, you had to pay a fee. Sorry, I think you've moved up too much. Can we? Right, yes. You had to pay a registration fee for membership of this class, which was now associated with social power and authority. And I think this has continued to this day, because we've got the impression that if you're Western educated, then you don't belong to your group anymore. You are not African anymore. You value the white colonialist conservative values and you embody them, and you are the representative. So whilst we have acquired independence as people, we have Black people amongst us who are still continuing to reinforce those ideas of white colonial rule. You see them making sure that their kids don't speak in their mother language. They value the things that are alien as being more important, including religion. I think I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Tapua. You remind me to, I don't know if it will be okay, but to go back a bit to what Nkrumah talks about, what he explained in the introduction, but a bit, I think it was covered in the last class, so I don't think there might be need for that. But there's what Nkrumah talks about in this introduction when he's talking about those people who got privilege to schools and education. And you see, he was talking that some people are very close to maybe the power, like either their parents were either the chiefs or the whatever in the community. Therefore, their access to education was something almost automatically. So then, as you're trying to explain, you see, he called them the colonial students. In the previous paragraph, he was saying that what he referred to the introduction. So here, you see this chapter, this paragraph here is saying in page 3 that a colonial student does not by origin belong to the intellectual history in which the university philosophers are such impressive of. But the colonial student can be seduced by these attempts. So see, even there's an impact of how their education is being manipulated a bit, but then this seduction makes them then belong to that class out of whatever come in, as you see what is being described here. So there's a bit of the educational element coming here from how they were exposed, the privileges, and I think Brother Kwame can probably help explain further on those three categories on how they accessed education in various colonial schools. But that's okay, Sister Tapua. Unless Brother Kwame want to come in, I'll go to the next person.
Yeah, go to
Brother
the
Kwame,
next person. Go to the next
thank
person.
you. Okay, thank you. The next person I see, Brother Philip. Brother Philip. Brother Philip. It may be your first time or your second time joining us, but feel free to share your thinking anytime. Let me get to then Sawindok.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, Brother Philip, I can hear you. So,
okay.
Sawindok, wait, first of all, we finish, Brother Philip. Can you speak closer to your mic, Brother Philip, please?
Yeah, is it better? Is it better
Just
now?
come closer to your mic. You are not audible enough. Please try again.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, perfect. Please go ahead.
Okay. The education bit and the sister mentioned Christianity and religion. I think that these were soft power tools that they used to. There's a word I use. It's a big word. Transmogrify the African into a European. So to change him from an African into a European. And I think that our task today, because that soft power that soft power tactic of using religion and education, media, and so on to change the African into a European is still working very well today. So I think practically our task is to reconvert the African back into his own self, like Steve Biko said in "I Write What I Like." I think that this is our task for the moment.
Thank you, Brother Philip. You are joining us from Ghana. I hope so.
From Ghana, yes.
Yeah, welcome to our class, brother. I know it's maybe
Thank
your
you
first
so
or your
much.
second time. Feel most welcome.
Second.
Thank you. Let's get to Chosa, or no, Sawindok first, but let me know who is Chosa. Is it Sister Chisomo? See Chosa?
No, it's divine.
Oh, is this place? Oh, divine. Oh, divine. Greetings. How are you, brother? Okay. Let me come to you after Sawindok. I'll change it to divine because that's what I'm used to. Sawindok, please go ahead first. Sawindok?
Brother Pigeon, greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Brother Pigeon.
Yes, I can hear you, Sawindok. I can hear you loud and clear.
Brother Pigeon, I can hardly hear you. My network is not good. Bad, and I'm driving. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, please proceed. I can hear you. Please proceed.
Brother Pigeon.
Oh. Okay. Can anybody hear me apart from Sawindok? Because it seems he's struggling to hear me.
Brother Pigeon.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, brother, loud and clear.
Okay, Sawindok is having some network issues then. Sawindok, please, okay. Sawindok, please try to work on your device a bit. I'm a bit audible.
He says, Brother Pigeon, he says he's driving. I think that's what I heard him say. So that explains why he's struggling.
We can give him some space, probably. We'll come back to him. Let me get to Brother Divine, then I'll come to Brother Coco. Brother Divine, are you able to share your thinking in regards to this text? There are two texts here. The first one and the second one on such education. Please go ahead, brother.
All right. What I've seen on this paragraph, I've seen some linkages of tools that were used by the colonizers. So I think the author is just telling us the tools that were used, and also if we understand these linkages, then we can de-link them in our process of decolonization. That is what I've been picking on that. The problem for my part is that although we understand these things written by Kwame Nkrumah at that time, and we have lived these things, we are still living them. And the biggest problem and the biggest question is that what can we do to de-link this, to decolonize this whole system? Because since independence of the African countries, they have just inherited the system. Nothing has changed. We are still suffering the same as though they are coming to our continent for the first time. I think that's all I can say for now.
Thank you, Brother Divine, because you're raising very important point. And as you're seeing, the first paragraph now brings addition of the merchants, the traders, the lawyers, the doctors, the politicians, the trade unionists. I know we have some trade unionists here. I might call myself a politician,
Mm.
but you see, they are armed with skills and level of influence, which were gratifying to the colonial administration. So are they still gratifying the neo-colonial education administration? And I think that's what you're raising, Brother Design, that we need actually to look at deeply. Have these groups really changed? And what is the way forward? But let me get also what Brother Coco thinks first. Brother Coco?
Brother, I
Coco,
had
can you hear
said
me?
I was. Yeah, I can hear you, but
Yeah,
I had said
in the chat, yes,
I
that he
was
can't
not
talk,
in a
Brother
position.
Pigeon.
Okay.
But allow
Okay.
me
I was
to
not.
attempt. If that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh, all right. Thank you. Greetings, comrades. Apologies, I'm late. I'm still at work, and what we are reading here is an extension of what we read last week, which I think we really went at length to try and analyze what it meant, or share our thoughts with regards to what Dr. Nkuma's message was in that paragraph. So this it reads well when it is read in conjunction with what was read last week or the week before, because he is continuing with his message that the African environment or the African society was largely horizontal, but what the colonizer then introduced was a hierarchical society in which there was a ruling class and a ruled class, or the masses or the people. And for the ruling class that they introduced, they brought these people who didn't have enough education, just education enough to be part of that society. As you can see, even in the paragraph here, he's talking about some of those will have got education, but some of those will have associated with the Europeans at the time. So it's more of who is the most loyal servant, or the most loyal house servant, or house Negro, as our brother Dr. Malcolm X once said. Malcolm X called them the hard part of the house slave. But the point here, what he's trying to say is these guys were not prepared for the transition or the magnitude of work which was expected of leading Africa. But they were there just to do the master's bidding. And with the scant skills that they got, it was enough for them just to be associated with the Europeans, or enough for them to get minimal of education in subject areas in which the European thought this was enough. They can continue to do what we want them to do. And what I would like to point out here is that let's not forget the Europeans wanted to continue to exploit the Africans. So what they will do is they will give those Africans who they wanted to create the middle class it's just enough for them to do what they ask them to do, but not enough for them to challenge their authority or to challenge what they were doing in Africa. So just to support the brother who said, whatever class this is, it was set up by the European. It's set up by the European, and the European introduced their own class structures. And this is what we are reading here. He's continuing to open our eyes to the fact that this is unnatural for the African. It's not a natural way of doing things as Africans. There are class structures here, which do you want to leave them as they are, or do you want to challenge them? And he's saying to us, is this enough? Do you think this is okay? You will remember from last week, he used the word harmoniously. Harmoniously, meaning the Africans, the way they were working things, it was in a harmonious way. But you cannot expect to have leaders who understand that harmonious development from those who were taught from the European school of thought. So allow me to stop here and listen to others. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Coco. Thank you for that. Brother Kwame, it's your turn, if you are able.
Yes, Brother
Then
Pigeon, I'm of the opinion that we move on and read another paragraph. The reason being that this is one of the clearest paragraphs that we have read. It's laying out historical development, and the comments we've heard so far have all explained, and there's a convergence of understanding. So I would urge us to move on. What I would add, if that is okay with everyone, is that I think Brother Kuku raised a very important point when he talked about the hierarchy, because I think that is the essence of the social structure that was introduced by colonialism. So before colonialism came, Africa had what you might call a horizontal social structure. Our chiefs were not higher than us. Our chiefs came from among us, and the chief did not lord it over us. And chiefs can be destooled if they break certain taboos or go against certain ancestral or traditional rules. So, for example, with the Akans, if you're a chief, you don't eat in public. If you eat in public, you have gone against the set down rules and so on.
Brother Kwame?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can now hear you.
Okay, so I'm in the train, so unfortunately, I might go off. So anyway,
okay.
Hierarchy for us should be ringing bells, because when colonialists introduce a hierarchy, the hierarchy that they introduced for us was based on the fundamental idea that human beings are unequal. And if you recall our discussions in previous sessions, it even went further. It wasn't just that we were unequal. Some Africans were not even human beings. They didn't see Africans as human beings. And we know from the history that in Eastern Africa all the way to Southern Africa, the Europeans who settled so disrespected, so disregarded, so dehumanized the black people to the extent that they made them feel that they were not humans. And some of these were internalized. And we have heard it from some of our members here and the way they express themselves. And some people still think, and I think Brother Divine has alluded to this, some people still think, even to this day, that somehow they are inferior to another group of human beings. And conscientism takes a position that there is only one human race. We don't have different human races, as some people like to say. It's a biological fraud. There is no such thing as different races. There's only one human race. And the entire human race has originated from the black woman. That's where everybody comes from. It's out of Africa that we went and populated the entire planet. So every group is, if you like, an extension of the African. So there is no such thing as different races. It's just one human race. So when Brother Kuku draws our attention to hierarchy, it's very important we understand that that is the hierarchy we are talking about. And as you know, Constantinism rejects that the fundamental idea that there is such a thing as a hierarchy, and then on top of that hierarchy is someone who has the lightest skin tone, and then at the bottom is the person who has the darkest skin tone. That fraudulent hierarchy is not something that we accept. So let's just be mindful, because that is at the heart of what we are reading. The colonialists got some Africans, and as we had, give them some education. And that education was basically so that they can be messengers in the colonial office, take memos, and so on. As you know, they were never given access to the files, the real files. Those guys never had access to them. They were just menials in those colonial offices and so on and so forth. And so that's the upper class, if you like. And the governor was a representative of the crown, as you know. And then we had the merchants and so on. They were like the middle class. And then below them are we, the ordinary people, majority of whom never had any education. And so that was the hierarchy: the upper class, the middle class, and then the rest of us, and so on. There's more to say, but I think that essentially is what the paragraph is saying. I think we've heard that from almost everyone who has spoken. The question I would like you to think about is this: the paragraph that the paragraph we have read, and the paragraphs are part of the it's in the chapter called Society and Ideology. So why is Nkrumah putting this in that chapter? Why is what we are reading not in the chapter, the previous chapter, which is Philosophy and Society? So let me take us all back just very briefly. In chapter 1, we looked at philosophy in retrospect. In other words, we turn around and ask ourselves, where have we come from philosophically? And then from there, where have we come from ideologically? In chapter 2, we then ask the question, so what is the relationship between philosophy and society? And we looked at that at length. Now, in chapter 3, the question then became or has become, what is the relationship between society and ideology? And that is crucial, because what we are reading is, if you like, an ideological text. It's telling us the ideological structure of the colonial society. So that's what it's telling us. And so it means what we should be thinking, and I'll end with this. What we should be thinking about is, if this hierarchical social structure was meant to promote a philosophical position that said human beings are fundamentally unequal, if we accept as Africans, as Black people, that we do not accept this idea that human beings are fundamentally unequal, and the reason we reject it, don't accept it, is because we are the fathers and mothers of the human race. So nobody should be telling us what it should be. We brought the human race into existence. We are the parents of the entire race. So nobody should be telling us. We should be telling them how it is. So the question that we should be asking ourselves is, if this social structure, this hierarchical social structure, which is underpinned by this ideology, if it is not what is in line with the what I'll call the Black position, then what we should be asking ourselves is, what is a social structure that aligns with our philosophical and ideological position. And I think that is something that we should be thinking about. And as we go into chapter 4, so in chapter 4, as you know, the chapter 4 is conscientism. So that is where we then begin to answer the question, what philosophy and ideology should we embrace for the emerging African society? Brother P, now I'll pause there for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. I think you've done a very good summary, taking it back to where we come from, explaining the chapters before. I think that's good. So, based on your guidance, I think let's move to the next paragraphs. And the next paragraph start with the word that, but neither, let me highlight it first. Yes, that, but neither economic nor political subjugation could be considered as being in tune with the traditional African egalitarian view of man and society. Colonialism had in any case to be done away with. The African Hercules or Hercules has his club poised ready to smite any new head with the colonialist Hydra may care to put out. With the true independence regained, however, a new harmony needs to be forged. A harmony that will allow the combined presence of traditional Africa, Islamic Africa, and Euro-Christian Africa, so that this presence is in tune with the original humanist principle underlying African society. Our society is not the old society, but a new society enlarged by Islamic Euro-Christian influences. A new emergent ideology is therefore required, an ideology which can solidify in a philosophical statement, but at the same time, an ideology which will not abandon the original humanist principle of Africa. Let's share our thinking on those two texts, those two paragraphs. Let me go around. If you want to come first before I go around, feel free to raise your hand. But I'll also go around in my list. Anybody who feel to go first before I go around? Okay. I'll start with you, Brother Benny, again, because you are also on top of my list as well. Brother Benny?
Yeah, thank you, Brother PJ. When I read, or anytime I come to this book, I want to suppress emotion and rather think, as Brother Kwame always say. The point is, one gets provoked by certain things that are shown to us, and the provocation demands action, which we seldom see happening. Because as much as we have read so far to this extent, you see, I question the text from our current generation, and I ask that, are we aware? Of course. The point is, we are aware of all these things in our society today, in the academics, in all sectors, in the religious community. we are aware of what our great leader has put down for us to remember. But the question is, don't we see that whatever is happening to us today, it is deliberate choice that we have made? And for me, I don't take the excuse that the fact that somebody has brainwashed me means that I'm forever to be to be played by that person. At the point, if I can quote Danfodio, who said that people can be fooled for some time, but not all time. I can be a fool for some time, but then at what point do I wake up to say that no, let me shake off whatever has made me to be such a foolish person that all my minerals are going. My children don't have hope. Everything is going bad, but then some people are enjoying what I have somewhere. You see, I look at this test and I look at the present today, just within this hour, what is happening across Africa in leadership, in departments, in education, our professors and doctors. And then one asks the question, isn't it deliberate that we made a choice of a kind of faithful choice that let us just maybe perish? Whatever make us think that way is that which I want to find out. That what is actually making us do what we see clearly that this thing is destroying us. Not that it's doing some good to us, but it's destroying us. Yet we are pushing it because it's a choice. For me, it's a choice we have made. And Nkrumah wasn't prophesying. But this is a man that looked at the society and he knew the past. Recently, I was discussing with some young guys. This man knew he could see the past, he could see the present, he could see the future. And one key thing I love him is that he understood his enemy, which today we don't have that. I don't know how many of our scholars and our professors will tell me that they even know a little about the European nature. Then why are we facing what we are facing if we know as Nkrumah actually have demonstrated that he understood his enemy indeed. Thank you, Rafi.
Brother Pigeon, let me come in there.
Please come in, Brother Kwame.
Brother Benny, you see, you use the word awareness. Awareness. And that is an important word. What does it mean to be aware of something? You see, you can be aware of something, and that is all there is to it. You are aware. You are conscious of it. And that's all it is. You may not understand it fully. I'm not saying you, I'm talking generally. One may not understand what it is one is aware of fully. So let me give a very simple example. So a child takes a knife. We can say that child is aware that it is a knife. It is a knife. But does that child know that the child shouldn't play with a knife if it's a crawling child? Why do we put the knife out of reach of the child, the crawling baby? Because the baby will see the knife, be aware that the knife is there. Doesn't mean the baby understands that the knife will cut you and you will bleed and it might cause you tetanus and so on and so forth. So, so there is awareness, but people, it doesn't mean those who are aware necessarily understand And then if you think about it this way, if you have fish in a poison pond, it doesn't matter what that fish does. Once that pond is poisoned, the fish will automatically be poisoned. Some of us here have described Africa as a crime scene. It means we are living, going about our daily lives within a crime scene. So we are being contaminated by the crime that is all around us. And that is a concrete situation. And so we will be affected. So just being aware is not, and some of our leaders, it's not just that they are aware. Some of them are not aware. Some of them may be aware, but they have made a decision. And I think you made that point. They made a decision to side with the imperialists because it serves their interest. So that's what I want to say. And then just for us all to realize that this class we are in, the reason we started the class, I say we, but I started the class. Yeah, the reason we started it is precisely because we wanted to go beyond awareness to providing the tools, the elucidatory tools, the expository tools for people to understand, to understand that unless your philosophical and ideological perspective is aligned with the needs of Africa's liberation, unification, and development, it doesn't matter how educated you are, you will still not be able to act. As some of you know, or some of you may not, I am a mathematics teacher, all right, and I can tell you, take any topic, say the expansion of one brackets, and I can tell you, will explain it. The students will be aware of it. When I ask them to do one, and then you find that they really didn't understand it. So when it comes to then practicing what you've just explained, they find that they cannot do it. So I'm just trying to say to all of us that being aware is not enough. We have to have the opportunity to also practice what we are reading and what we are learning. And that is why we are grateful that there are people here who are presidential candidates, parliamentary candidates, who are leading political parties and who are also here. We want these to go out there from the classroom into the field so that we can begin to use these tools and then refine them. Okay, so I will pause there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Benny. Do you want to come back before I move to the next person?
Yeah, what I was recently telling my MPO members in the executive room that look, one reason I remain in CSG is that they are moving from the philosophical to pragmatic stance whereby they are pushing for the Africa unification. I mean, this is where you find people in action. And it shows the understanding, as Brother Kwame have explained already, that where understanding works, there should be a kind of action taking place. And I thank Brother Kwame for putting that emphasis also there. Thank you much. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Benny. Thank you very much for the feedback and the compliment. We will go on my list to you. I'll change Sister Tapua. And then I'll go to Amel. And now we have sisters here. So we have Sister Nancy who has just joined. Sister Chisoma has also just joined. So Sister Tapua, I'll request you share your thinking because you've been here for a while a bit. Then I'll go to a brother, and then I'll come to the other sisters in the room, if that's okay with you, sister. Now, this is a different part now from education to something else. Please feel free.
Thank you very much. I'm just thinking of what Brother Benny has said about asking why we do not act, although we are fairly conscious and understand what's going on. I think the most important thing for me is the awareness that we belong to a society, to a group of people, and no human being can stand and be outside that society. In other words, there's got to be some kind of cohesion and relationship. Yes, there is push and pull factors within the society, but I'm very aware that we are in a different period of time compared to 20 years ago when people were not woke, when Africans were not as awake and as aware as they are today. And I'm thinking mostly of numbers here, because the more people are aware of where we need to go and what we need to do and are acting in harmony, the better our chances of moving there, which is why we are working on our minds and we're working to pass the information to other people so that as our numbers increase, we'll be able to act. Because right now, we are part of this educated group that that has paid the membership fee for being in this particular class, because we are educated and we're very aware of the Western norms and what is expected. And my heart bleeds because in Zimbabwe in particular, we've got this fad of people wanting to be regarded as Dr. So and so, with all these titles that go with showing that you've acquired a Western kind of education and therefore you've left the old self and you're a new person, without actually understanding that when you get a status such as Dr. So and so, you've contributed to a body of knowledge. And the contribution to this particular body of knowledge that people are aspiring for is not African per se, not adding to our struggle, but reinforcing the idea that I've now qualified and I've distanced myself from who we are. And that makes me sad. And when we're also thinking of the type of education that we have in the schools, we are aware, yes, but because we're dealing with leadership that aspire to have children write a specific board of exams that might not necessarily relate in a meaningful way to advancing our way of life, you find that some of the things that are discussed in the classrooms across Africa do not add to the advancement of African ideas and African ideals, but our kids are made to aspire to be American, to aspire to American values, American way of dressing, Western way of dressing, and so on. And it's reinforced in the curricula. You're talking about the definition of family. I was shocked when I was looking at my niece's work on family. And the definition of family that's being discussed in the schools is not the type of family that we have. I was asking her, so am I part of your family or not? I said, but you're part of my family. And I said, but that's not what's going on here. He says, oh no. So this is not our family. I said, no, this is not our family. That's not how we define family. So we really need to be aware and take action in terms of making sure that whatever education is our kids are coming across is meaningful and adds to their understanding of who they are. I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very much triggered with this second paragraph that Nkrumah says that with the true independence regained, I don't know the comment on that. However, a new harmony needs to be forged. And I think this is very important because I'm seeing there's a important thing here. I'll just read it, but I'd like members to actually try to share their thinking deeply in this paragraph that says that a new harmony needs to be forged, a harmony that will allow the combined presence of traditional Africa, Islamic Africa, Euro-Christian Africa, and harmony that can allow all these three, so that this presence is in tune with the original, that's very important for me as well, original humanist principles underlying African society. I think I would like to hear more of members maybe try to share what they think in regards to this. If anybody feel to come in. Sister Tapo, do you want to proceed that or I move to the next person?
I would like
Okay,
to the contribution
yeah,
because
maybe a minute or two. Then I want to go to Brother Devin, please.
Okay, just briefly.
Go ahead, Sister Tapo. And can you speak close to your mic? You are clear a bit sometimes back. Come closer to your mic again.
I came across someone discussing the different forms of Islam that are there in Africa, and they're particularly worried about the conflict in Nigeria, where Christians and Muslims are purported to be in conflict. And they gave an example of how Ghanaians are able to go beyond these groupings to be humane. And they were giving examples of how a Muslim cleric will easily get into a Christian church, enjoy Christmas with everybody else, and then when it's their turn to have festivities, without necessarily asking one to be either or, but just understanding that we're all humans, we all need the same things at the same time, we're neighborly, and so on. And for me, that was critical, because if we are to focus on the aspect of humanity, then a lot of the religious favor that we find will come into line with being human. I think I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Divine?
Yes. On the issue of harmony in terms of traditional African, Islamic, and Euro-Christian, I think there's going to be a problem there to harmonize these things, because if we look at the structure of Islam and the structure of Christianity, the way they were introduced or the way they were designed to pacify us so that we conform to Eurocentric ideology so that we can be 100% colonized. So this harmony that needs to be forged, I don't see it being forged without going back to our original setting. We need to go back to our original setting because everything starts with Ubuntu. And you find that in Islam, in Christianity, there's no that element of Ubuntu. It's actually washing away the Ubuntu in Africans. So before we forge or before we harmonize these things, we need to really understand what is really Islam. What is it that is Christian? And what is it that is traditional Africa? For me, I've put away all those things. I no longer believe in Christianity or believe in any Islam, whatever. I'm now starting to search myself through my traditional African ways that I know my forefathers were following. And by doing so, I'm starting now to understand myself as an African, and now to understand what these other people have come and done to us through the biased educational system that they've pushed through us. Yeah, so I think for now, I can rest my case there.
Thank you. I see the two ones are probably, I can guess, because those are the two previous speakers who spoke on this. topic. I don't know if they'll allow me to take one more, then they can maybe, because I know it's a response to whatever you're raising. If you can allow me to take at least one more who hasn't spoken, then maybe I can come back to you, probably. So let me take Elder Sam who hasn't spoken, then I'll come back to Tapua and Brother Benny, but I also have another list that will go around. I believe my time will allow me to ensure that everybody speak on this. So let me first of all go to Elder Sam. Elder Sam? Greetings, Elder. How are you?
Greetings, everybody. Brother Pigeon and members on the platform. I'm looking at this. Well, I didn't hear the background before this discussion of this part, but this part where Kwame says with true independence regained. And if I take it, it is after his establishment of a free Ghana that we are talking about. I think this is where the real crux is. Because me and you now sitting here, we are aware that that so-called independence was really not true independence. And at that stage, when they gained independence, they believed it was true independence. And all they were looking at, it is to harmonize all these divides that were there. And if you look at the situation, they were able to harmonize themselves. The fact that they were able to build the Organization of African Unity and start to say until an inch of Africa is not liberated, Africa is not liberated. And they didn't stop there. They made mechanisms like the Liberation Committee, which said Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe must be free. And they supported it. So in essence, you can see that they had traversed and almost got to this harmony that they were trying to get. But the essence was that their independence was not true. What the colonialists did in most places where the radical people like Ahmed Sego Toure took power, the colonialists made sure that that country is economically bankrupt, basically. They took everything. They uprooted electric poles. But where other countries gained independence, it looked like it's a smooth transition and everything is in place. But meanwhile, what had happened was that the colonialists moved out of the territory, but left their own doorkeepers, watchmen in the form of the presidents that took over. So that is the issue, that true independence that Kwame is talking about and looking for can only come when we have gone back to our old egalitarian African society, where the primacy of the community takes hold of that society. But given the situation that we are in, we still need a lot of things, not only mental liberation, because we have been contaminated. You know, here in South Africa, just a week ago, one of the municipality members of our main city, Johannesburg, was addressing at a funeral, and he was telling us how the dead person and himself were challenging each other about what type of shoe they are wearing, what type of alcohol they are drinking, how much does it cost. And he was saying, if it didn't cost this, no, I'm not drinking it. Those are the people that are in power in our societies, that we think we can reach this harmony. We won't until we've done this political education that this study group and others that are there that we know of are trying to achieve. And not only that, culturally, you know, our people are oriented to say, you must get to America, you must get into the what do you call these awards that they go in America, where you perform and then you are the star of the day, you receive those items, then you are the most decorated artist, and therefore you are in the right lane. Whilst we are ignoring our cultural grassroots here in the country, the cultural groups that taught us that we need to be together under one tree, where the elders of society would impart all the knowledge that they used to do in our old societies. Currently, all those things are dismantled. Until we go back culturally, you know, the television that we watch, we are all fed all Western material. Even when we do our own dramas, they are basically the bold and the beautiful that is happening in America. We just changed with our own actors in that society. So the harmony that Gruma was talking about, it is this revolution that must still continue mentally, culturally, in order to go back. And as we said, we have already identified that Ubuntu is the basis of where we must go. And Ubuntu in all its forms need to come back and guide us in this state that we are, in order to transverse, not only that, but in order to galvanize ourselves into one harmony, where, as they say now, all these splinters, Christians, Islams, must have a common goal that says we want to be one humanity. We want to have the same cultural approach and other things that we can harmonize as a society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elder Sam. Thank you for your contribution. It's very good you worked on that element of true independence and what you've tried to share your thinking on, which I think probably Brother Kwame would be able to elaborate that further when he'll be able to get the opportunity. Now, Sister Tapua, I'll give you maybe 1 or 2 minutes, then I get to Sister Nancy. Then I also give Brother Benny maybe 1 or 2 minutes.
Brother PJ, Sister Tapua has spoken a few, Sister Tapua has spoken a few times. We haven't heard from other people yet. So I think it's fair that let's hear from other people's. I don't know if
Sister Nancy's hand is up.
Sister Nancy has spoken yet. Has she spoken yet?
No, she hasn't.
Yeah, so why don't you give the chance to those who haven't spoken yet, so that we hear from everyone, rather than there's nothing wrong with asking someone to share their thinking multiple times, but we need to hear from everyone. I am the only one who has the authority to intervene at any time. But so I just
thank you, Brother
thought I would draw that to your attention. Thank you.
Yeah, but
I think we should hear from Sister Nancy.
Yeah, I'll still come back to our 2 brothers and sisters once I'm done with the round as you've instructed, brother.
Yeah, of course. That's fine. Thank
you. Okay, Sister Nancy, please come in. Sister Nancy.
Thank you.
And it's a long time, Sister Nancy. It's a long time a bit.
I know. For me, it's in the middle of the day here in the U.S., so it's not always easy, but I do the best I can, and I'm happy for the opportunity to be here. I don't really have anything so profound to say because so much has been said. I do think it's important, though, to recognize that, like the last speaker pointed out, decolonization is imperative, and decolonization of our minds and our way of thinking, our ways of thinking. It's not possible to harmonize with oppression, and I think that's, for me, that's critical. Society is always transformed by its experiences, and I think Nkrumah is teaching us that Euro-Christian experience is part of our historic reality, and that Islamic experience is part of our historic reality, just like our traditional experience. But we can't go back. We can never go back to the way things are. And I think this is the critical aspect of harmony. that we have to figure out a way within a context of freedom, and without allowing our oppressor to be part of this harmony, we have to learn how to live within a transformed society, because we're not going back to the way things were. And imperialism is successful everywhere in the world, and in Africa in particular, but not only in Africa. It's successful because it's really good at disharmony, at disunity, at division, and at creating mistrust. So this whole concept of divide and rule is it works time and time and time again. And I think Nkrumah's giving us the tools to prevent that from happening. In other words, to look at where we are today as a result of our experiences and figure out a way to harmonize and to live in within the context of freedom, but to incorporate these experiences in our new reality and our current reality. The last thing I just want to point out was, what we're witnessing, I think, in Nigeria and other parts of Africa that are being plagued with these terrorist groups. This is a distortion of Islam. This is not representative of Islam. And I think, most Muslims would probably agree. A lot of these groups have been financed and armed by imperialism. And they're carrying out the bidding of imperialism. And the only goal, of course, of imperialism is Africa's resources. So anything they can do, they will. And unfortunately, there are people, as long as neocolonialism has created such chaos and just all kinds of destabilized conditions in Africa. And unfortunately, a lot of people are very desperate and willing to maybe join groups that they may not have joined before, willing to migrate to places they would not have considered going before, because people are desperate. And it's the same way here. People in the most desperate communities here in the US are willing to join the US military and fight against other oppressed people, or willing to commit crimes or do all kinds of things that desperate people do. But I think it's important that we not look at that as being characteristic of any particular religion. But this is what imperialism has done to Africa, and this is what we have to root out. People allowing themselves to be used as the enemy against the people. And it's just an aspect of neocolonialism. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go to Brother Eric, and then I'll come to Sister Chisomo in that order. Are you able to share something on this paragraph, the new 2 paragraphs you've read? Brother Eric?
Thank you, everyone. I must say I'm glad that our brothers and sisters that are outside the continent are carrying on and forward the work that the Osage-4 initiated way back, the time the time he lived among the sons and daughters of Africa. Thank you for those that are out of the continent and are making sure that this legacy moves forward. Well, the independence, the truly regained independence that Nkrumah was talking about, now needed harmony when he put very clearly the issue of the religions. I think it is like 3 or even 4 times new again. The state of our individual countries in Africa, because there are very many values, very many other things that are coming up. You may have known the LGBTQ There are a lot of things that are coming to us. And I would say we also have to find a way of accommodating them, because these are values being forced on us by our former colonial masters in this state of neocolonialism. Well aware that they have got power but without responsibility, because whatever they want are done accordingly by our leaders, who now in this case act as agents. Well, my issue is on the point of awareness that the previous contributors have talked about. I am suggesting to us that yes, the awareness seems to be there, but it's questionable, as if we do not know what we think we know too well. Because now what disturbs me all the more is, if our leaders say they are conscious, yet they cannot discern the near future. A thing that disturbs me again is, there is this thing called professionalism. There is this thing called, should I use the word diplomacy? There is a certain amount of hypocrisy that make us to keep up with what we think is right for so long without acting it. And before we know it, we have been hit on the head. So I think, with the exception of a few African leaders, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah inclusive, I think the awareness, that is the very type of what we are doing, like a class like this, the CSG, that should keep on going on and on and on with the no day of stopping. It's the only thing that should take place, so that we can build a much more aware group of leaders that can act on time. Because honestly, as I conclude, there are some issues, these ones you are talking about, there are some issues that, in my view, should be rejected on the spot. Not to keep playing about diplomacy. Anyway, thank you. I can't talk much, but I am fully in agreement with every speaker and the text. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister Chisomo, please come in.
Yeah. Can I draw to our attention? Yeah. Sister Chisomo, can you hold on, please? Can I draw this to our attention? I know Brother Sam mentioned it, and so has Brother Eric. Do we all realize that when Nkrumah talks about with true independence regained, he did not mean in the future. He meant Africa at the time. So we are talking about 1957, 58, 59, 1960. Granted, South Africa was in 1994. But Nkrumah was talking about the concrete reality around him at the time. In other words, they truly believed that they had regained true independence. And I'm just bringing that to our attention, that if we go back to the late 1950s, early 60s, we know that it was in the 60s that most African countries became free, except South Africa. This is what Nkrumah is talking. He's talking about true independence at the time. So I just thought I'll draw that to everyone's attention. It's not about independence in some future period, but it's something that has happened before. Now, the problem we have now is that we have now lost that true independence. So that right now,
Brother Kwame?
Yeah, sorry.
Brother Kwame? Okay, proceed, Brother Kwame.
Yeah. So can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry, the train announcements, I didn't want them to come into the recording. So, yeah, so the true independence that Nkrumah is talking about here is something that actually happened in the late 1950s. It started with Ghana in 1957, it continued, and so on. But we lost that true independence when imperialism struck at the independence movement. It started with the toppling of Nkrumah, as you remember, in 1966. So the problem right now is that we are under new colonialism. So we've lost the true independence. We've lost it. And that is a task ahead of us right now, that we have to defeat new colonialism. The problem with new colonialism is that it is your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, and they are all black, like you, who are now in control. They are those doing the damage. Okay, and that is the problem we are now facing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Brother Kwame. Sister Chisomo, can you come in to speak to the paragraph, if you can, Sister Chisomo? I'm almost finishing my rounds.
Sorry, I just sent a message to say I'm just listening in for today.
Okay, thank you, Sister
I came in
Chisomo.
late. Thank you.
Okay, Sawindok, I'm left with some few. Sawindok. Sawindok. If Sawindok is not there, Brother Coco. Yeah, Brother Coco, I was to call you. So, Brother Coco, please go ahead. You have not shared your thoughts in this second round. Please, Brother Coco, go ahead.
Can you hear me, brothers and sisters? Am I audible?
No, you are very far from your mic.
Okay, let's see what we can do about that.
You're good.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better. It's better.
Okay. Wow. What an interesting discussion tonight. It's interesting in that most of us we have one word. We are in one word in argument that we can hear what Dr. Nkrumah is saying. He's saying to not reject your brothers and sisters on the basis of religion, but try to harmonize, try to fuse all those different sectors or sections of the African societies and bring them into the fold. So I wish I was as eloquent as my brother Natemutau or brother Kwame in putting this, but I also love very much what Sister Nancy said, as well as brother Eric. I mean, everyone, they put their thoughts coherently. So the only point I want to raise with what brother Kwame said was that we lost independence. And here I'm thinking, when Dr. Nkrumah wrote Consciencism, that was before he wrote Neo-Colonialism, which was the one book why they took him away from power. So they struck after that time, because he knew, he could see that this was what was happening in Africa. It wasn't after we got the independence that they struck. They struck because they were using some of us already to sort of usher in their own type of independence. They were using some of us to stop people like Dr. Nkrumah to unite Africa. I would like to draw our attention again to what Dr. Chancellor Williams said. He said they brought in people like Haile Selassie, and funded him and bribed him to stop the dangerous Kwame Nkrumah. Okay, because at that time, Dr. Nkrumah was one of those who wanted a clean break from the colonial master. But most of the brothers and sisters, they wanted to continue to stay close to their European masters, mostly the French-speaking countries, the Monrovia group, if you know that led by Liberia. So they did not strike after. It was there all along. So we were being given a phony independence, in short. But at that time, maybe Dr. Nkrumah wasn't clear on what was happening here, but he woke up and saw it in his own eyes and actually wrote it after what he saw happening in the Congo and started to see things clearly. And he elaborated that in the neo-colonialism, the last stage of imperialism. But majority of us don't want to read. We don't want to read. Even this one, we are reading because we are part of this group, and it's important we read because ideology, religion, education, all of this stuff are what they use as their levers, as the neo-colonial levers that they use. So thank you. Allow me to revert back to what our brother Divine said. You know, when I started to come to this group, I was exactly of the same mindset as you. I said, we cannot unite Africa if we continue to use the foreign religions and stuff. And Brother Kwame said to me, treat them with kindly. They are your brothers and sisters. You need to bring them along to the table. And then from that time on, then you can talk about the issues that separate you. So this is the reason why I'm so excited about this paragraph tonight, because it's coming to the core of conscientism. Conscientism is taking egalitarianism, that Ubuntu which you mentioned, my brother, but also fusing it with the reality of the African. The reality of the African is there are African traditions, there is spirituality, the way of life that the Africans led before the colonizer came. But there was a colonizer who came from the East and gave the Africans Islam. Then there was a colonizer who came from the West and gave the Africans Christianity. The question is, what do we do with those brothers who have embraced foreign religions? Are we going to kill them if they refuse to let go of those religions? We cannot. They are our brothers and sisters. It's incumbent on us to convince them that our way is the African Union, is the African way of life. It's the African unity, I mean. When I say African Union, I don't mean that colonial organ in Addis Ababa. I mean the African unity is the only way that the Africans can free themselves of the imperialist. But doing that, recognizing the realities under which we live. I live with lots and lots of Christians. It annoys me. I don't even know what to say to them, to convince them. I can't, but they're my brothers and sisters. There's no way I'm going to say, okay, you're Christian, out of my life. Okay, you're Muslim, out of my life. No, it doesn't work like that. And I also have a Sierra Leonean background as well. I've seen how they live in Sierra Leone. The Muslim, they celebrate Christmas. And the Christians will go and celebrate Eid with the Muslims. There is that harmony. It was always there as Africans. We need to find ways in which we find our commonalities more than looking at what divides us. And that is conscientism. Conscience, knowing who we are, and then holding on to the Africanness. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I come in there? Thank you, brother
Yes,
Coco.
yes, brother Kwame.
Yeah. Thank you.
Please
Thank you,
come
brother
in.
Coco, for your very spirited addition. I want to draw to our attention that conscientism is a materialist philosophy. It's not an idealist philosophy, in the sense that It does not see the universe as made up of spirits and their ideas. For conscientism, the universe is fundamentally matter. And it's out of that matter comes all consciousness. And if we keep that in mind, then we should understand that when Nkrumah brings these Euro-Christianity, Islam, traditional Africa, Nkrumah is not talking about religion. I know it's very easy for us to begin to think that that's what Nkrumah is talking about. Nkrumah is talking about how we all live, the material basis of our lives. As far as I know, Muslims need water to drink, just as traditional Africans need water to drink, just as Euro-Christians want water to drink. All of us drink water. All of us need to sleep in a house. All of us have children, and so on. This, you might say, has religious dimensions, correct. But that is not what we are interested in. We are interested in the concrete reality, yeah, of our lives as human beings. Okay, so I want to draw to our attention that let's not be too preoccupied with the religious aspect. The other thing also I want to bring to your attention is that we keep saying that they brought this to us, they brought that to us. All religions come from Africa. We all realize that. And you also must know by now that there's no such thing as the Middle East. It's just North Africa. Yeah. In the same way as the Middle East is an imperialist nominal description, so is the word Africa. Nobody here in their indigenous language call this continent Africa. Nor will we call it even Middle East. If we want to use the word Africa, we'll say it's North Africa. Okay, so I want us to bear that in mind. Let's not go too much into, please, I'm not saying don't share your thinking. If that's what you are thinking, please feel free. But I'm just drawing to your attention that when the CPP and Nkrumah were leading Ghana, the reason there is harmony in Ghana between, you might call the religions, was because the party decided who will be an MP. And you were not an MP if you come from a particular area. So if you're a Christian, you have an MP who is a Muslim. That's the party's decision. And the purpose was to break down these barriers, which I don't think Nigeria had. And let's also bear in mind that the conflict in Nigeria, this is Nancy has drawn our attention to this, but let me stress it. The conflict in Nigeria have nothing to do with religion. It's a conflict over resources. That's what it's about. Nigeria is as you know, has vast resources. In the same way as the conflict in the Sudan is not about whether you are a Christian in South Sudan or you're a Muslim in the North. That's not what it's about. The real conflict is resources. So I'm trying to draw your attention to the real issues. Let's not get too engaged with religion. Let's focus on matter. Thank you.
I'm having Brother Philip, who hasn't spoken on this second text, and I still remember I heard the two.
Hi, can you hear me?
So, Brother Philip, yeah, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, I've heard Brother Kwame, and I'm not going to over focus on religion. What my main focus here is on harmony, how the three groups Nkrumah mentioned can live in harmony. And one thing to realize is that when we talk about Christianity, they are different brands. The European, and I'm glad that Nkrumah specified Euro Christianity, which is actually not Christianity in its true sense. Christianity in its true sense can actually help to unify us, and actually can, to some extent, move forward the principles of Pan-Africanism. What happened with the European missionaries when they came in the 15th century, 1400s, and so on, was that they came with a mantra to civilize and to Christianize. That is totally anti-Christian. There's nowhere, it's not supported. It's not supported from the text. And so one way to bring about this harmony is to look for the pristine Christianity. I don't know much about Islam, and see how that one in its pristine form, in its purer form, because what came across the waters with the white boys in the 15th century was totally contaminated. As I said, there are different brands, and in order to convince our brothers and sisters, we can go for the in a sense that the original Christianity, which can help move Pan-Africa and Africanism forward. I'm sure many of us know that Christianity was in Africa, right from the inception. If you think about the Ethiopian churches in Lalibela, right from the 4th century, even if you want to go to the book of right at the very first outpouring or exuberance, or however you want to call it, in Acts 2. I mean, there were people from all over Africa. In fact, I'm not really sure, when I look in the good book, I'm not really sure that you see many Europeans there. Their main purpose was to crucify the Christ, and so they don't really play any key role. And so a way to unify the three factions, or the three groups Nkrumah spoke about, is to look for the pristine and the original, and see whether that original form, which has not been contaminated by the Europeans, can help move the way.
Okay. Brother Philip? Okay. I'm not hearing you. I'll assume either you're frozen. We are having 5 minutes, and I've only been left with Brother Jaranunaki. You haven't shared your thoughts. I know you came a bit late, but let me know if you are willing to share your thought. Brother Anunnaki, just to confirm that first.
And Brother Pigeon, you haven't shared your thoughts either. So you have to share your thinking as well. Thank you.
Brother Anunnaki, thank you, Brother Kwame.
Thanks, Anoptelik. Yo, I came very late. I doubt I'd have anything to say. Yes, give thanks for me.
Okay, give thanks.
Brother Pigeon, share your thinking. Thank you. Brother Kwame Gonza is in the waiting room. Can you believe it? He may have thought we are self-finishing at 9. Anyway, I'm letting him in now. Brother Pigeon, share your thinking. Thank you.
No, it's been interesting listening. Sometimes when you chair, you end up learning more than even speaking. So I believe most of what I could be sharing is actually spoken. But I want to underline only keyword here. The word that Nkrumah says after those factions, when he say that when you talk about presence of traditional Africa, Islamic Africa, Euro-Christian Africa, the key thing he's saying is that so that this presence is in tune with the original humanist principles underlining African society. I think it's very important that you get that the only way to forge this harmony must be guided by our Ubuntu principle. What you call Ubuntu principle? Our humanist principles as Africans. And when we go to that, then I think we will always find harmony. And as Brother Kwame has said, irrespective of their practice, no one don't want food, shelter, or anything of that sort. And then if it is in line with our humanist principle, and maybe if you go to Ubuntu a bit, you say, I am because you are, basically seeking that brotherhood and justice or sisterhood, then that's okay. That's one thing I need to highlight on that. Then in the first paragraph, the thing I want to share my thought on is that, but neither economic nor political subjugation could be considered as being in tune with the traditional African egalitarian view of man and society. And I think Brother Kwame, Brother Koko elaborated on egalitarianism. Because in an egalitarian system, which also you can either call Ubuntu or whatever, we don't view anyone to either be above anybody. And that's the idealist thinking. The subjugation of any part of the society is not allowed. So I think those are two things that I really wanted to share my thoughts on. But the last one is on this last part, it said that, and a new emergent ideology is therefore required. That means that there is no ideology existing that has been able to bring harmony between either the so-called hardcore idealist or hardcore materialist. And therefore, there's a need for us to have that harmony. And if I remember very well from Consciousness, it believes and subscribes that matter is not a sole reality. It is just a primary reality. And the element of spirituality or spiritual whatever can still emanate from matter through what you call the categorical conversion. So how do we bring harmony? And I think is what consciousness will be speaking deeply on in chapter 4, as Brother Kwame said, that's the true harmony that Brother Elder Nkrumah is trying to prescribe to us. I'll stop there, Brother Kwame.
Thank you for,
yes.
Thank you for, thank you. So, make the announcements for this next week, rest of this week and next week, and then we bring the meeting to a close. And thank everyone for coming. It was really nice to hear different voices from all across. And I think it's Brother Eric who said that it was nice hearing from US, so nice in the US, UK, all parts of the continent. It's really nice. Yeah. So, Brother Pigeon, yes, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I might have I don't think if I locked anybody out, I might have not gone back to Brother Benny and Sister Tapua Zuzand were up. Just permit me because time is up, and I believe I will give you another time as usual next time. So please bear with me in that because of our time. And Brother Gonza I saw Brother Gonza. I don't know if he's left as well. And I will wish that he join us early. I will have to communicate to him. He's disappeared a bit, and we really have to have him with us. He's the one who introduced me to Consciousness Group, actually, and I've been very faithful to the group up to date. So I really want to thank him, even if he's not in here, and the family that you've got in the process. I would like to say that we are still continuing with the unification of Africa. I think it's Brother Ben who said that we are a unique class that focus on that unification. We are actually setting up some top lead in this, and Sir Windhoek is actually our lead in this, because we need to work on the unification of Africa. So we'll be listening and getting a presentation by the author of United Nations of Africa. He never attended our session last time due to challenges in Tanzania. He has promised to present to us this Saturday, and therefore we are looking forward to hear from him as we discuss all modalities on how do we want to arrive at the unification of Africa and the Union Government of Africa, or whatever name you want to call it. So please don't miss that conversation. It's actually the 5th session, which means it's been very intense, with the previous sessions actually guided by Brother Kwame. So we are looking forward to that. If you have time, I'll share the link to all of us. Nice to see you back, Sister Nancy. It's been a while a bit. And also, I'm happy that Brother Gonza was joining us as well. Brother Devin, happy to see you and everybody else who have joined us. We really appreciate your time. Your resources, your data that you use to join us. The recordings of the previous week, I'll share them by either Sunday or Saturday this week. Having said that, I have nothing more to share. Unless, Brother Kwame, you have anything to say?
No, you said it all. And yeah, thanked everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, see you again on Saturday or coming Thursday when you want to continue this sweet conversation. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night, Sam. Good